Kumba Iron Ore unit of global miner Anglo American reported a 10% rise in export sales volumes and said it remained committed to raising annual production volumes. The group's export sales volumes rose to 18.8 million tons, while its operating profit was up 64% to 11.2 billion rand. Earlier today, Kumba's chief executive, Chris Griffith, took Eleni Giokos through the results.
We had really good price settlements, increase in volumes, increase in sales, increase in the amount of shipping that we've done. So really right across the business, we've had another fantastic set of results.
You've come to an agreement, an interim pricing agreement with ArcelorMittal with regards to the Sishen supply, and it stands currently at $50 a ton, and it's around 520,000 tons per month. So pretty much in line with the volumes that we saw with the previous agreement. Obviously, a difference in the pricing structures. How did you come to this agreement?
There's nothing changes with the volume, that we still provide volume down to Saldanha, and we still provide volume to the inland plants. Roughly about 6 million tons per annum. And as you say, we have reached agreement now with ArcelorMittal, and the agreement that we have is an interim price until such time that we either have settled the arbitration or until the end of July next year, which are $50 a ton to Saldanha and $70 a ton to the inland plant.
Sensitive time for Kumba Iron Ore with regards to ArcelorMittal and the Sishen mine, the cost+3 contract under dispute at this point in time. Tell us about the arbitration process and when you hope to find some clarity.
The really good news is that we've reached settlement. I think that was the intention of the meetings with government, is to help facilitate and mediate the process to reach settlement.
Government for some time now has been talking about starting a steel mill in South Africa. Would Kumba Iron Ore at any point be interested in supplying the South African government with iron ore?
We are iron ore miner, and so we sell to steel mills. And so, you know, selling to one or the other steel mills is the same to us. So we have always supported the domestic market and will continue to do so.
Tell us about the Thambazimbi supply contract that you currently have with ArcelorMittal, which supplies ArcelorMittal with 2 million tons of iron ore per annum.
It is a cost+3 arrangement that we have with Thambazimbi. It's got absolutely nothing to do with the Sishen arrangements, and continues to be a cost+3, and will be like that until the end of the life of mine, which is currently scheduled at 2016.
What is the fundamental difference between the contract with Sishen and ArcelorMittal and Thambazimbi and ArcelorMittal?
There's two fundamental differences. The one, the basis upon which the Sishen contract agreement was based is that ArcelorMittal held 21% of the mineral rights of Sishen. The Thambazimbi arrangement is a cost+3 arrangement. The mineral rights belong to Sishen, but that was the contract was a contract mining and a cost+3 arrangement at Thambazimbi. At Sishen mine, the cost+ arrangement came from the relationship to the mineral rights that Mittal used to hold.
Kumba Iron Ore has said in its forward-looking statement that there is uncertainty over the iron ore pricing mechanism. Please clarify on that. And does it really have to do with the fact that on a global level we've been seeing changes in the pricing of iron ore from yearly contracts to quarterly contracts?
I think the prospects for iron ore going forward are not necessarily relating to the pricing mechanism, but rather because we're seeing a slowdown in and a reduction in the spot price. So the pricing mechanisms will be what the pricing mechanisms are. We think it'll be more beneficial to certainly the mining sector that we have a shorter term rather than an annual benchmark system. So we support a shorter term pricing intervals. They have not yet been agreed. But that's not really where the concern is. We are seeing a slowdown in some of the world economy, particularly so in Europe, and then we have seen fiscal measures in China that are slowing that down. And we think that's rather a modest and temporary process rather than a permanent reduction in demand for iron ore.
You mentioned China cooling off their economy, and we know that during the financial crisis, spot iron ore prices fell to around $70 a ton. We're currently sitting at around $145 a ton. Long-term average iron ore prices, though, stand at $20 a ton. If we do see a double-dip scenario playing out, are you concerned that iron ore prices could perhaps revert back to the mean, in other words, at around $20 a ton?
We are unlikely to see a 25-year average of $25 a ton. I mean, there's most of the operations across the world will be out of business if we run the business. There'll be probably the first quarter of the cost curve is below $25 a tonne. So that's not a scenario that's likely to exist. Are we likely to see prices come down? In the long term, they are likely to come down. I think everyone expects them to come in the long term, but that's 5 years out. And I think we're still likely to see very strong prices for iron ore in the next few years.
Mining royalties also had an impact on the bottom line. What are you expecting going forward, and how do you think this is going to impact your books?
We have now paid royalties since March of this year. So we have put in place, I think we've, for 4 months of the year, we have had a royalty of over 500 million. Depending on the profitability, of course, because that's upon which the royalty is based. Our current royalty calculation is about 4.8% of revenue. And that's what we're likely to see going forward.
The currency obviously being one of those big issues as well. How do you plan to mitigate the risk when it comes to the local currency?
We've got to make sure our business is profitable at a strong rand. So our business is affected by the rand-dollar exchange rate. We've still, in a very strong rand environment, posted record profits, and which are a combination of the exchange rate and the prices and the volume that we sell. So we've got to focus on the aspects of the business that we can control, and that's on the safety, the production, the sales. That's the kind of things that we need to focus on and make sure our business can perform under whatever exchange rates may be forthcoming in the future.